I had always believed my marriage to Melissa was strong. We had been together for over a decade, shared a home, and raised a child together. From the outside, everything seemed perfect. But over the past months, subtle signs began to unsettle me. Late nights, secretive phone calls, and vague explanations about her whereabouts. Deep down, I feared the worst, though I tried to convince myself otherwise. Then one evening, my worst fears were confirmed. I caught Melissa cheating. The shock hit me like a sledgehammer. The woman I had trusted and loved had betrayed me, and the realization left me paralyzed with disbelief. But beneath that pain, a cold clarity began to form. I knew that this betrayal demanded consequences, and I resolved to make them severe. I started by documenting everything. Messages, emails, photos, and recordings were gathered meticulously. Every detail mattered: the dates, the meetings, the audacity of her deception. I needed irrefutable proof, both for legal action and for delivering personal revenge in a way that would ensure accountability. Once I had all the evidence, I confronted her affair partner. Alone and away from our home, I laid out the proof: messages, photos, and recordings that exposed the betrayal completely. The shock on his face was immediate. He had assumed he could manipulate the situation and continue the affair without consequence, but he hadn't anticipated being held accountable directly. The fear and disbelief in his eyes were satisfying, a reminder that actions have repercussions. Next, I filed for divorce. Custody arrangements for our child were prioritized to ensure stability and emotional security. Financial settlements were calculated not only to satisfy legal standards, but also to reflect the emotional and psychological toll of Melissa's betrayal. She had gambled with trust, loyalty, and family and lost completely. But legal action alone wasn't enough. I wanted to ensure that Melissa felt the full weight of her actions. I ghosted her entirely. I moved out with our child, stopped answering calls, texts, and emails, and removed her influence entirely from my life. The absence itself became punishment. She had no opportunity to plead, negotiate, or manipulate her way back. The choices she made reshaped our lives, and now she had to face the consequences alone. In the weeks that followed, I focused entirely on rebuilding my life. Routine, emotional stability, and support from friends became my priorities. Melissa, meanwhile, faced the consequences of her audacity. Her credibility, reputation, and influence over my life were gone. The exposure of her affair, combined with legal and social fallout, ensured that she could not evade accountability. Reflecting on the ordeal, I realized that true revenge isn't about dramatic confrontations, public humiliation, or shouting matches. It's about strategy, timing, and reclaiming control. By documenting the affair, confronting her lover, filing for divorce, and removing her entirely from my life, I ensured that the consequences were swift, undeniable, and permanent. Melissa had assumed she could cheat without repercussions. She was wrong. Her choices reshaped our lives, and through careful, calculated action, I reclaimed dignity, authority, and the ability to rebuild a future free from deception. In the end, this story is one of betrayal, strategic revenge, and personal empowerment. A cheating wife believed she could act without consequence, but evidence, legal action, and decisive withdrawal ensured justice was served. Melissa and her lover gambled with trust and lost. The lesson was clear: betrayal has consequences, and some actions cannot be forgiven, forgotten, or ignored.